Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another fun at-home table read. Tonight, we are tackling easily one of the best adventure films of the 90s, The Mummy, with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. We're going to get right introducing ourselves. So, starting off.
I'm Bridget, and I'll be reading the action description.
I'm Logan. I'm going to be reading Rick.
I'm Nicole. I'm going to be reading for Evelyn.
I'm Tyler. I'll be reading for Jonathan.
I'm Erik. I'll be reading for Ardeth Bay.
I'm George. I'll be reading for Imhotep.
I'm Anne, and I will be reading for Beni.
I'm Mary, and I will be reading for Daniels.
I am Jennifer, and I'm going to completely butcher this. Anck-Su-Namun, even though I asked for this pronunciation earlier.
You're good. All right. Well, Bridget, take us away.
The Mummy, written by James Jacks and Sean Daniel, based on The Mummy, 1932, transcribed by The Corpse in the Corner. The sun beats down over the peak of a massive pyramid. The light of the setting sun illuminates the construction of a large sphinx. The city is alive with activity. A horse-drawn chariot rides down the street.
Thebes, city of the living, crown jewel of the Pharaoh Seti I.
Interior Pharaoh's castle, later. Imhotep, bald and beautiful, stands overlooking what will hopefully soon be his empire.
Home of Imhotep, Pharaoh's high priest, keeper of the dead.
Imhotep turns, awaiting his love. Interior Pharaoh's castle, main hall, later. Anck-Su-Namun, parts of her wardrobe literally painted on, walks through the doorways.
Birthplace of Anck-Su-Namun, Pharaoh's mistress. No other man was allowed to touch her.
She strides with determination through a large hall, eyeing the monks whose skin is painted gold. The gold monks watch her leave, then cross to the far door, leaving her alone. Interior Imhotep's secret sex spot. Moments later, Anck-Su-Namun walks through the curtain, eyeing Imhotep with determination.
For their love, they were willing to risk life itself.
Anck-Su-Namun trails her hands in front of his eyes, her hand never touching Imhotep's skin. Imhotep trails his hands along the sides of her face before kissing her. His hands trail to her shoulders. Ooh, bad move, dude. Imhotep's fingers trail along her shoulder, smearing the painted decoration. Interior, Pharaoh's castle, main hall, moments later. The gold monks push the doors shut, only for them to be forced back open by the Pharaoh himself. They bow and back away. The Pharaoh eyes them suspiciously.
What are you doing here?
The Pharaoh looks down the hall and crosses. The monks push the doors closed. Interior Imhotep's secret sex spot, moments later. The Pharaoh throws open a curtain and sees Anck-Su-Namun standing with her hand playfully on the head of a large cat statue, 'cause, Egypt. The Pharaoh stops in front of her, angry already. She looks up, lustily trying to distract him. He points, accusing, to her shoulder.
Who has touched you?
Anck-Su-Namun looks at her shoulder. Yeah, that's what happens when you wear painted clothes, Mooney. She gasps and looks back to him, clearly caught. Her eyes flit behind him. The Pharaoh turns to see Imhotep, who draws the Pharaoh's blade from its scabbard.
Imhotep, my priest!
Anck-Su-Namun lifts a large dagger and plunges it into the Pharaoh's back. He screams and turns to her. Imhotep lifts his blade and slaps it meatily into the Pharaoh's midsection. Interior, Pharaoh's castle, main hall, continuous. The monks hear the Pharaoh's struggle, his murder being shown on the shadow of the curtain. The door to the hall starts to rattle. Interior Imhotep's secret sex spot, continuous. Imhotep and Anck-Su-Namun stop killing the shit out of the Pharaoh for a moment at the sound coming from the door.
Pharaoh's bodyguards.
Oh, the guys who are bad at their job. The golden monks scatter.
You must go. Save yourself.
No.
Only you can resurrect me.
Interior, Pharaoh's castle, main hall, continuous. The doors break open and in storms the bodyguards, led by not Kevin Costner. Interior Imhotep's secret sex spot, continuous. The golden monks start to drag Imhotep away.
I won't leave you. Get away from me.
She trails her hand in front of his eyes as the monks pull him away.
You shall live again. I will resurrect you.
Anck-Su-Namun turns as the bodyguards tear through the curtain. They are shocked to find the Pharaoh, the dude it's their whole job not to let out of their sight, dead on the floor. Death by big damn swords.
My body is no longer his temple.
Isn't this kind of the plot of Mad Max Fury Road? Anyway, Anck-Su-Namun draws her dagger out of the Pharaoh and lifts it high over her head. She plunges it into her stomach. Imhotep watches below, heart breaking. Exterior Egyptian desert, nights later. Horses ride by torchlight across the sands.
To resurrect Anck-Su-Namun, Imhotep and his police broke into her crypt and stole her body. They raced deep into the desert, taking Anck-Su-Namun's corpse to Hamunaptra, city of the dead, ancient burial site of the sons of pharaohs, and resting place for the wealth of Egypt.
On screen, Hamunaptra, 1290 BS. Interior Hamunaptra. Pyramid ceremonial chamber, later. The monks walk Anck-Su-Namun's corpse down the steps towards a large stone platform.
For his love, Imhotep dared with the god's anger by going deep into the city, where he took the black book of the dead from its holy resting place.
Imhotep walks a massive black book towards the pedestal. The monks bow around Anck-Su-Namun's body as Imhotep draws closer.
Anck-Su-Namun's soul has been sent to the dark underworld. Her vital organs removed and placed into 5 sacred canopic jars.
Imhotep reads from the ceremony. A ghostly soul rises from a dark black watery pit, drifting towards the body. Imhotep continues chanting. The soul drifts back into the body, and Anck-Su-Namun breathes anew.
Anck-Su-Namun's soul had come back from the dead.
Imhotep screams and lifts his dagger, prepared to finish the ceremony. But before he can bring his hand down, it is grabbed by the bodyguards.
But Pharaoh's bodyguards had followed Imhotep and stopped him before the ritual could be completed.
The soul drifts out of Anck-Su-Namun, leaving her dead once more. It flies back into the pit with a howl.
No!
Interior mummification chamber, later. A poker is heated to white hot.
Imhotep's priests were condemned to be mummified alive.
The golden monks are scattered around the room in various stages of mummification. They all scream.
As for Imhotep, he was condemned to endure the home die, the worst of all ancient curses.
A bodyguard grabs a slender blade, prepared to use it. He turns as the other guards hold Imhotep, his tongue clamped out of his mouth.
One so horrible, it had never before been bestowed.
The guards slice off Imhotep's tongue. Interior mummification chamber, later. Imhotep is being wrapped. Still clearly very much alive, he breathes heavily in fear. As they finish wrapping his head, Imhotep is lowered into a stone sarcophagus. He writhes, struggling to escape. A large guard wearing an Anubis head walks forward, carrying an urn. He approaches the body and pours scarabs all over Imhotep. He screams as the bugs begin feasting. The guards slide the lid onto the sarcophagus. An 8-pointed key is slotted into the lid and locked.
Inside his sarcophagus, he was to remain sealed inside his sarcophagus, be undead for all of eternity.
Imhotep's sarcophagus is slotted into a large crypt, which is sealed with the same 8-pointed key.
The Magi would never allow him to be released.
Sand is piled onto the crypt.
For he would arise, a walking disease, a plague upon mankind, an unholy flesh eater, with the strength of ages, power over the sands, and the glory of invincibility.
And this is a bad curse? Exterior Hamunaptra nights later. The Magi bury Imhotep at the feet of a large statue of Anubis. Exterior Hamunaptra centuries later. The sands of time, nooch, hit the statue and wear away the blackened finish. French legionnaires scream as they run across the sandy terrain. On screen, Hamunaptra, 1923. Fighting! War! Soldiers run across the desert ruins of Hamunaptra.
For 3,000 years, men and armies fought over this land, never knowing what evil lay beneath it.
Soldiers race across the desert on horseback towards the city. The Foreign Legion takes their stand, aiming their rifles at the oncoming horsemen. From a ledge overhead, Ardeth Bey and the Magi sit on horseback watching the scene play out.
And for 3,000 years, we the Magi, the descendants of Pharaoh's sacred bodyguards, kept watch.
From the Legion's last stand, the lone man on horseback looks concerned and takes off in a panic. From down the line of legionnaires, 2 watch him leave. Beni turns to Rick, worry on his face.
You just got promoted.
Rick looks towards the charging men, steel in his gaze.
Pray up, position!
The charging men get closer and closer.
Steady!
Rick turns to Beni.
You're with me on this one, right?
Oh, your strength, give me strength!
Even Rick doesn't believe his shit. The horde charges ever closer.
Steady!
Beni looks nervous before deciding, fuck this shit, I'm out, and takes off running. Rick watches him go, not all that shocked.
Wait! Wait for me!
Rick turns back to the charge.
Steady!
The men steady themselves.
Fire!
They unleash hell. The Legion fires, taking out a small chunk of the charging men. They reload as quick as they can, fighting back the charge as best they can. Rick tracks and fires, sending off a few well-aimed shots. The men start firing back, picking off Legionnaires. More of these men charge in on the side, outflanking the Legionnaires. More of Rick's men are shot. Rick is standing up, firing off shots, with a spare shell in his teeth. Rick is backing up, the charging horsemen nearly at their barricade. The horses cross the barricade. These charging men are clearly massacring the Legionnaires. More horsemen jump the barrier. One throws a machete through the air into the back of one of the Legionnaires. Rick fires off a shot, then uses his tooth bullet. His rifle now officially out, he swings the butt at a man on horseback, knocking him off. The man rises and charges Rick, sword drawn. Rick smacks the man in the face with the butt of his rifle. Rick drops the rifle and draws his pistols. He fires off several shots, killing 4 more charging attackers. As those pistols run out of ammo, Rick drops them and draws 2 more guns from behind his back. Rick continues firing. Rick runs back, still firing. The attackers are killing Rick's men all around him. Beni turns back as Rick vaults over another barrier.
Run! Beni, run!
Beni sprints towards an open door.
Get inside! Get inside!
Beni turns and starts to push the large stone door closed.
Hey, don't you close that door!
The door slides closed.
Don't you close that door!
Beni finishes closing it right as Rick hits it, stuck outside. Bullets hit the wall all around Rick. Rick takes off running, doing his best to not get shot. He dives over a stone head, dropping his guns in midair. As Rick lands, he reaches for the gun, but bullets pepper the sand all around it. Rick, fully unarmed, runs as the horse-backed attackers chase him. Rick runs through the ruins, finding every exit cut off by attackers. Rick reaches a dead end and comes to a stop. He turns to face his attackers, who line up like a firing squad. Rick closes his eyes, awaiting death. Something spooks the men, and they run, a few falling off their horses as they flee. Rick opens his eyes, realizing he's not dead, and he's alone. A voice whispers through the air. Rick looks around, looking for the source.
You will die. You will die.
Rick turns and realizes he's face to face with a statue of Anubis, the same one guarding Imhotep. Rick steps back and eyes the stone effigy. He hears the howls of coyotes. In Egypt? Okay. Rick turns and a burst of sand flies up at him. Rick tries to run, the sand bursting up, almost attacking him. Rick skitters away, the sand still shifting until the remaining mounds resemble a face. Exterior Hamunaptra, moments later. Rick's attackers are racing out of the city, the Magi still watching overhead.
The creature remains undiscovered.
They watch the lone Rick run across the desert.
And what of this one?
Rick runs for a beat, with a bandolier still half full of bullets, Why'd you drop the rifle, Rick? Rick turns and looks up and the Magi on the cliffside. He opts to continue running.
Should we kill him?
No. The desert will kill him.
Exterior, Cairo. The city sits bright and warm. The Museum of Antiquities sits with large stone statues outside the doors. On screen, Cairo, Egypt, 3 years later. Interior, Museum of Antiquities.
Sacred stones, sculpture, and aesthetics. Socrates, Seth, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3.
Evelyn, the very model of a model British librarian, stands atop a ladder, reorganizing books.
And
She lifts a book from the stack in her hand and reads the spine.
Moses, what are you doing here? T.
She looks to the shelf across from her. She places the remainder of the stack on the top of the shelf she's working on.
I'm going to put you where you belong.
Evelyn reaches across the shelf, trying to put the book back where it belongs. She reaches further and further until the ladder comes away from the shelf. Evelyn is not balancing on now balancing on two shitty stilts. She wobbles around, precariously perched. She looks nervously from side to side. She looks down, totters, and falls into one of the shelves. This dominoes the shelves to the ground all around the room. They fall in a perfect circle, leaving Evelyn somehow not flattened. She looks around, shocked. She removes her glasses.
Oops.
What? How?
The curator of the museum enters, and his heart sinks.
Oh, look at this. Sons of the Pharaohs! Give me frogs, flies, locusts, anything but you. Compared to you, the other plagues were a joy.
Were they, my dude? Were they?
I'm so very sorry. It was an accident.
My girl, when Ramses destroyed Syria, that was an accident. You are a catastrophe. Look at my library. Why do I put up with you?
Evelyn knows the answer to this question.
Well, you put up with me because I can write ancient Egyptian, and I can decipher hieroglyphics and heretic, and well, I'm the only person within 1,000 miles who knows how to properly code and catalog this library. That's why.
I put up with you because your father and mother were our finest patrons. That's why. Allah rest their souls.
He shakes his head.
Now, I don't care how you do it. I don't care how long it takes. Straighten up this mischief.
How is she supposed to lift all those shelves? There were at least 26 of them. Did you count, Logan? He storms out. Evelyn hears a sound and turns, seeing the light of torches flickering. Interior Museum of Antiquities, main display. Moments later, Evelyn enters the room.
Hello?
She takes one of the torches from the wall and enters the room. She walks through the aisles and up to a sarcophagus.
Bob?
She turns at a sound and moves to a large open crypt next to her. She nervously peeks inside. The corpse bursts out. Evelyn screams! Before she can run, a pair of legs kick into the air and laughter is heard. Jonathan, Evelyn's brother, sits up and throws his arm around the corpse. Jonathan, that's an actual dead body.
Have you no respect for the dead?
Evelyn sets torch in the crypt and turns back to Jonathan.
Of course I do, but sometimes I'd rather like to join them.
Evelyn pulls Jonathan's arm off of the body, who he's puppeting slightly.
Well, I wish you would do it before you ruin my career the way you've ruined yours.
She slaps him.
Now get out.
My dear, sweet baby sister.
Jonathan crawls out of the crypt.
I'll have you know that at this precise moment, my career is on a high note.
High note. Ha! Jonathan, please. I'm really not in the mood for you. I've just made a bit of a mess in the library.
Understatement.
And the Bimbridge scholars have rejected my application form again, and they say I don't have enough experience in the field.
Jonathan crosses to her, comforting his sister.
You'll always have me, old mum.
They smile and rest foreheads against each other.
Besides, I've just a thing to cheer you up.
Jonathan moves back to the crypt and starts digging.
Oh no, Jonathan, not another worthless trinket. If I have to take one more piece of junk to the curator and try to...
Jonathan holds out the 8-pointed key box to her.
Sell it for you.
She picks up the box.
Where did you get this?
On the dig down in Thebes. My whole life, I've never found anything, Evie. Please tell me I found something.
Evelyn turns the box and pushes a button, the 8 spokes of the key springing open. Inside the box sits a folded piece of paper.
Jonathan?
Yes?
She pulls out the page.
I think you found something.
She unfolds the page, revealing what appears to be a map. Interior Museum of Antiquities, Curator's office. The curator reads the map.
You see the cartucci there. It's the official seal of the Settee. The first, I'm sure of it.
Perhaps.
2 questions. Who the hell was Seti the First, and was he rich?
He was the second pharaoh of the 19th dynasty, said to be the wealthiest pharaoh of them all.
Good, that's good. I like this fellow. I like him very much.
I've already dated the map. It's almost 3,000 years old. And if you look at the heretic just there, well, that's Hamunaptra.
Dear God, don't be ridiculous. We're scholars, not treasure hunters. Hamunaptra's a myth told by ancient Arab storytellers to amuse Greek and Roman tourists.
Yes, I know. All the blabber about the city being protected by the curse of the mummy nonsense, but my research has led me to believe that the city itself may actually existed.
Are we talking about the Hamunaptra?
Yes, the city of the dead, where the earliest pharaohs were said to have hidden the wealth of Egypt.
Yes, in a big underground treasure chamber. Oh, come on, everybody knows the story. The entire necropolis is rigged to sink into the sand on Pharaoh's command.
Jonathan and Evelyn are so busy talking, they don't notice the curator moving the map closer to the map, trying to get a closer look.
A flick of a switch, and the whole place would disappear beneath the sand dunes, taking the treasure with it.
As the Americans would say, it's all fairy tales and hokum.
The map catches fire.
Oh my goodness! Look at that!
He tosses the burning map to the floor, badly acting. Jonathan and Evelyn tamp out the burning map.
You burnt it! You burnt off the part with the city!
It's for the best, I'm sure. Many men have wasted their lives in the foolish pursuit of Hamunaptra. No one's ever found it. Most have never returned.
Exterior Cairo prison later. Warden Gad, not Josh, barks at the pair.
Come. Step over the threshold. Welcome to Cairo prison, my humble home.
The warden walks Evelyn and Jonathan through the yard of this desert prison.
You told me that you got it on a dig down in Thebes.
Yeah, well, I was mistaken.
You lied to me.
I lied to everybody. What makes you so special?
I am your sister.
That just makes you more gullible.
Jonathan, you stole it from a drunk at a local cupboard.
Picked his pocket, actually, so I don't think it's a very good...
Jonathan tries to turn them around, but Evelyn turns them back on course.
Stop being so ridiculous. What exactly is this man in prison for?
The warden turns, having led them to a cage.
This I do not know, but when I heard that you were coming, I asked him that myself.
And what did he say?
He said that he was looking for a good time.
The door inside the cage opens and two guards roughly push in George of the Jungle, I mean Rick, looking a little worse for the wear. They hit him in the knee, dropping him to the ground against the bars. The warden steps back.
This is the man that you stole it from.
Yes, exactly. So, why don't we just go sniff out a spot of tiffin?
Who are you?
Rick drops his hands from the bars.
And who's the broad?
Broad?
Well, I'm just a local sort of missionary chap, spreading the good word and all that. But this is my sister, Evie.
Jonathan pushes her forward.
How do you do?
Rick eyes her.
I guess she's not a total loss.
I beg your pardon.
Well, shit, I'll be back in a moment.
Oh, well.
First swear of Jen. Reading. Cool.
Sorry, I lost my...
Sorry, it's my bad.
Jonathan turns to Evelyn.
Ask him about the box.
We have found... Hello? Excuse me?
She regains Rick's attention.
We both found your puzzle box and we've come to ask you about it.
Jonathan nods. A beat.
No.
No?
No. You came to ask me about Hamunaptra.
Jonathan tries to shush him. Evelyn looks excited.
Well, yes. I think I'm saying the wrong line. Maybe. Okay. How do you know the box pertains to Hamunaptra?
Because that's where I was when I found it. I was there.
Jonathan gets in close.
But how do we know that's not a load of pig swallow?
Rick points to him.
You know, do I know you?
No. I've just got one of those faces.
Rick recognizes him and punches Jonathan in the face through the bars, knocking him out. The guards behind Rick crack him across the back with their bats. Evelyn steps over Jonathan towards Rick, right next to the bars.
You were actually at Hamunaptra.
Yeah, I was there.
You swear?
Every damn day.
I didn't mean that.
I know what you meant. I was there. Seti's place, City of the Dead.
Could you tell me how to get there?
Rick gives her a look. The warden screams at prisoners. Evelyn turns, then uses her hat to shield her words. Don't know how well that will work with the guards standing right there, but okay.
I mean, the exact location.
You want to know?
Well, yes.
Do you really want to know?
Yes.
Rick gestures her closer. She leans in and Rick grabs her, stealing a kiss.
Then get me the hell out of here!
The guards hit him again. Rick fights one of them off, but falls to the other's blows.
What, lady?
They pull him back inside, slamming the door behind him. Evelyn turns to the warden.
Where are they taking him?
To be hanged. Apparently. He had a very good time.
Interior Cairo prison, later. A crowd has gathered to watch the execution. Rick is walked up to the gallows as Evelyn watches next to the warden.
Fucking shit. All right. I will give you £100 to save this man's life.
Madam, I would pay £100 just to see him hang.
200.
Proceed.
300.
The hangman put the noose around Rick's neck and pull it tight.
Any last requests, pig?
Yeah, loosen the knot and let me go.
The hangman turns to the warden.
He said we should let him go.
Well, shit, he said we should, that's what you said. Are you stupid? Am I stupid? I don't know. Of course we don't let him go.
The warden barks at the hangman, who smacks Rick in the back of the head.
500 pounds.
The warden gestures for them to wait.
Where are we now? Fuck. And what else? I am a very lonely man.
He touches her thigh. She smacks his hand with her clutch. The crowd of prisoners laughs. The warden waves to the hangman.
No.
The hangman pulls the lever and Rick drops. It's the far drop and the quick stop, but Rick's neck doesn't break. He hangs there, choking. The warden laughs.
His neck did not break. Huh. I'm so sorry. Now we must watch him strangled to death.
The crowd chants as Rick struggles to breathe.
He knows the location of Hamunaptra.
The warden looks at her.
You lie.
I would never.
Are you? God damn it, 9th Avenue. Are you telling me this filthy, godless son of a pig who knows where this bullshit is happening over here on 9th Avenue knows to where to find the city of the dead?
Yes.
Rick hangs. Not so fun fact, Brendan Fraser was legit being choked out when they shot this scene, to the point where he actually lost consciousness. Brendan is a treasure we must protect.
Truly.
Yes.
Not a question, just a statement.
And if you cut him down, we will give you...
She looks at Rick hanging.
10%.
50%.
20.
40.
30.
25.
She caught him.
Deal.
The warden realized he just negotiated a lower deal.
Fuck. I mean, cut him down.
The hangman swings his sword and cleaves the rope in two. Rick drops to the ground. Evelyn stands and looks at the fallen Rick, proud of her work. Rick looks up at her, a little impressed. Exterior dock later. On screen, Giza Port, Cairo. A large boat is boarding. Evelyn and Jonathan move through the crowd.
Do you really think he's going to show up?
Yes, undoubtedly, knowing my luck. He may be a cowboy, but I know the breed. His word is his word.
Well, personally, I think he's filthy, rude, a complete scoundrel. I don't like him one bit.
Anyone I know?
Rick enters behind them, having had a shave and a haircut, probably paid 2 bits. They turn, shocked. Jonathan, that he actually arrived, and Evelyn, that he cleaned up so nicely. Rick waits for them to speak.
Oh. Hello.
Jonathan pats Rick's chest.
Smashing day for the start of an adventure, eh, O'Connell?
Yeah. Yeah, smashing.
Rick checks his pockets, making sure Jonathan hasn't picked them again.
Oh, no, I never steal from a partner.
Rick smiles.
Well, that reminds me, no hard feelings about the...
Rick mimes the punch.
Oh, no. Happens all the time.
Mr. O'Connell, can you look me in the eye and guarantee me this isn't some sort of flim-flam? Because if it is, I am warning you.
You're warning me? Lady, let me put it this way. My whole damn garrison believed in this so much that without orders, they marched halfway across Libya and into Egypt to find that city. And when we got there, all we found was sand and blood.
Rick nods.
Let me get your bags.
Rick grabs their luggage and starts boarding.
Yes, you're right. Filthy rude, a complete scoundrel, nothing to like there at all.
Evelyn gives him a look. The warden walks up behind the siblings.
Hi, good morning to you all.
Oh no, what are you doing here?
The warden starts boarding.
Well, I'm here to protect my investment. Thank you very much.
They sigh. Exterior river, night. The moon shines full overhead as two boats of Magi sneak towards the boat. One of the more grizzled Magi affixes a gnarled hook to his hand. Interior boat, later. Jonathan sits at a table, playing poker with Henderson, Daniels, and Burns, who's cleaning his glasses.
Quit playing with your glasses and cut the deck, Burns.
Without my glasses, I can't see the deck to cut it, Dave.
Rick comes out onto the deck, and Jonathan notices him.
O'Connell, sit down. We could use another player.
Daniels eyes Rick.
I only gamble with my life, never my money.
Never? What if I was to bet you $500 we get the Hamunaptra before you?
You're looking for Hamunaptra?
Damn straight we are.
And who says we are?
He does.
He does.
Jonathan looks nervous and chuckles to himself.
Well, how about it? Is it a bet?
Rick looks to Jonathan, clearly pissed. The poker players look up at Rick, expectantly. Rick smiles.
All right, you're on.
At a farther table, Dr. Chamberlain, wearing a fez, smokes from a long pipe.
And what makes you so confident, sir?
What makes you?
We got us a man who's actually been there.
Oh, well, what a coincidence, because O'Connell...
Rick adjusts his bag from one shoulder to the other, hitting Jonathan with it in the process. He gets the hint.
Whose play is it? Is it my play? I thought I just...
Rick rests a hand on Jonathan's shoulder as he moves to leave.
Gentlemen, we got us a wager. What do you mean, Jonathan?
Crunch. Rick grabs Jonathan's collarbone, reminding him to keep his mouth shut. Jonathan chuckles nervously and in pain.
Night!
Exterior boat, later. Evelyn sits at a table reading a small book. In the water below her, the Magi boats draw closer. It's quiet. Almost too quiet. Suddenly, bang! Rick's bag slaps down onto the table with a thump, causing Evelyn to jump.
Sorry, didn't mean to scare you.
The only thing that scares me, Mr. O'Connell, are your manners.
Still angry about that kiss, huh?
Well, if you call that a kiss.
Rick gives her a look, then with a flourish unrolls his bag. On the table now sits Rick's arsenal.
Did I miss something? Are we going into battle?
Lady,
Rick sits and starts dressing his guns.
Lady, there is something out there. Something underneath this sand.
Yes, well, I'm hoping to find a certain artifact. A book, actually. My brother thinks there's treasure. What do you think's out there?
A word? Evil. Bedouin and the Tuaregs believe that Hamunaptra is cursed.
Evelyn pulls a small curved blade out of his bag. Rick takes it back.
Oh, look, I don't believe in fairy tales and hokum, Mr. O'Connell, but I do believe in one of the most famous books in history is buried out there. The Book of Amun-Ra. It contains within it all the secret incantations of the Old Kingdom. It's what first interested me in Egypt when I was a child. It's why I came here, sort of a life's pursuit.
And the fact that they say it's made out of pure gold makes no never mind to you, right?
You know your history.
I know my treasure.
Rick snaps a shotgun back together.
By the way, why did you kiss me?
I don't know. Just getting hanged seemed like a good idea at the time.
She looks disgusted with him and leaves.
What? What'd I say?
Rick turns at a sound. A small pile of boxes shifts, and Rick casually strolls over. He reaches behind them and pulls out Beni.
Oh, surprise! My good friend, you're alive. I was so very, very worried.
Well, if it ain't my little buddy Beni, I think I'm gonna kill you.
Rick puts his gun in Benny's face.
Look at my children.
You don't have any children.
Someday I might.
Shut up. So you're the one who's leading the Americans. I might have known. So what's the scam, Ben? You take him in the middle of the desert and then you leave him to rot?
Unfortunately, no. The Americans are smart. They pay me only half now and half when I get them to Cairo. So this time, I must go all the way.
That's the breaks, huh?
Rick holsters his gun.
You never believed in Hamunaptra, O'Connell. Why are you going back?
Rick looks down the deck at Evelyn, who's petting a camel.
See that girl? She saved my neck.
Evelyn catches them looking and continues her leaving in a huff from before.
You always did have more balls than brains.
Beni pats Rick on the shoulder with a chuckle. Rick chuckles back. Rick puts an arm around Benny's shoulder and they walk down the deck a bit.
Yeah.
Rick points to Beni.
Goodbye, Beni.
Rick grabs Benny's collar and throws him overboard. Rick starts putting his bag back together.
O'Connell!
As Rick is rolling, he sees wet footprints across the deck. He follows the trail and looks over the side of the boat with a worry. Interior boat, Evelyn's room, moments later. Evelyn paces, trying to read.
George Benbridge in 1860.
She grabs her dress off the bed.
1865 was...
She absentmindedly tried to hang the dress, but misses the hook entirely.
Was... Oh, for heaven's sakes, girl. It wasn't that good of a kiss anyway.
She pushes the window closed and crosses to the mirror to brush her hair. There's a thud behind her. She puts the brush down and bends over to pick something up. When she stands, the grizzled Magi stands behind her. He grabs her throat and forces her against the wall. He puts the blade to her cheek.
Where's the map?
It's there.
She points to the remains of the burnt map on the table.
And the key? Where's the key?
The key? The key? What key?
Evelyn!
The door bursts open and in comes Rick, guns drawn. The Magi hides behind Evelyn and Rick takes aim. The light of a candle flickers and Rick's eyes move to the window. The window opens and Rick quickly turns and takes fire. Rick uses about 8 shots, killing the guy with the first 2. The other 6 shots put holes in the wall and knock a lantern off, blanketing the couch in flame. Evelyn grabs a lit candle and shoves it back into her attacker's eye, and he lets her go. She jumps behind Rick, who provides cover fire as they flee the room amidst another Magi attacking. Evelyn gets into the hall and stops before trying to turn back.
The map! The map! I forgot the map!
Rick grabs her by the wrist and stops her from going back into the fire.
Relax. I'm Map. It's all up here.
Oh, well, that's comforting.
In the flaming room, the grizzled Magi sees the box on the ground.
The key!
He goes for it right as Jonathan enters the room.
Evie!
Jonathan bumps into the grizzled Magi, sending him directly into the flaming couch. The Magi screams as he's catching a light. Jonathan sees the box and reaches for it. The gnarled blade slaps down onto the top of it, and the Magi manages to grab it before Jonathan can. He chases Jonathan out of the room. Exterior boat, same time. It's chaos. The boat is being evacuated as the flames spread. Passengers throw their belongings and then themselves off of the boat into the water below. Rick and Evelyn come through a door and Rick shoves a large bag into her hands.
Here, hold on to this.
Rick rests against a wall and starts reloading. A Magi across the way starts firing at Rick, the bullets hitting the wall next to him. Rick ducks back around the corner, still trying to reload. Rick is reloading as bullet after bullet hit the wall next to him. 1, 2, 3, 4. As the 5th and 6th hit, Evelyn pulls Rick out of the way so he doesn't get hit. Rick draws his second gun and starts firing back. Rick is shooting away, trying to take down Magi where he can.
Can you swim?
Of course I can swim, if the occasion calls for it.
Rick lifts her up in his arms.
Trust me, it calls for it.
He throws her overboard. Rick goes to throw his bag over, but is tackled back by a Magi. Rick gets a bit of a beating from the Magi as they rise. The Magi starts choking him. Rick breaks his grip and headbutts the man back. Rick punches and kicks the Magi back into a room, which bursts open and into flames. Warden Gad runs up to Rick in the chaos.
Connell! Connell! What are we gonna do? We're gonna
Right here. I'll go get help.
Right.
Rick jumps overboard. The warden paces for a beat, unsure of what to do. Then with a frustrated grunt, he jumps overboard himself. The Americans have made a small barricade, firing away at various Magi. Jonathan runs up behind them. The Americans yee-haw, hoop and holler like cowboys.
Americans.
The flaming grizzled Magi bursts in between Jonathan and the Americans. He turns to Jonathan and advances on him. Henderson notices him. He is on fire, after all, and fires off several shots into the back of the Magi. The Magi falls dead into the water. Henderson smiles and reloads as Chamberlain looks terrified.
I say, bloody good show, chaps.
Jonathan puts on a pith helmet.
And did I panic?
Jonathan pulls out the box, which he picked up from the Magi's cloak.
I think not.
He tosses the box playfully, but then there's a burst of flame and Jonathan jumps off stage, followed shortly by the Americans. Exterior river, moments later. The passengers flounder to the shore with their horses.
Get them out of the water! Get them out of the water! Come on, doggies, give them a smack, would ya?
The Americans pull a mass of horses to the shore.
This is a messed up country.
Burns just pours out his hat. On the opposite shore, Jonathan, Rick, and Evelyn come to shore. The warden sits coughing in the mud.
We've lost everything. All of our tools, all of our equipment, all of my clothes.
O'Connell!
Beni shouts from the opposite shore.
Hey! Hey, O'Connell!
Rick turns.
It looks like I've got all the horses!
Hey, Beni! Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river!
Beni chuckles and then realizes that Rick's right. Beni starts swearing in Hungarian. Exterior marketplace days later. The marketplace is alive with activity. The warden gets shooed out of a tent by several women, slapping him.
I only want 4. 4!
In the distance, Jonathan talks to a camel merchant.
I only want 4, not the whole bloody herd. O'Connell, can you believe the cheek?
Just pay the man.
Oh, for heaven's sake, can you believe the price of these flea bags?
Jonathan hands the merchant a bundle of bills.
Yes, happy, very good.
Rick takes the camels from the merchant.
Yeah, you probably could have got him for free. All we had to do was give him your sister.
Yes, awful tempting, wasn't it?
Evelyn walks up with a few women, smiling at Rick.
Awfully.
Rick pets the camel and away they go. Exterior desert, later. They ride the camels through the sand.
Never did like camels, filthy buggers. They smell, they bite, they spit.
From behind Jonathan, the warden spits.
Disgusting.
I think they're adorable.
She reaches up and pets the head of her camel.
Ooh, baby.
The warden spits again. Exterior desert montage. Our crew rides through the desert all day until the sun goes down. Exterior desert night. The Magi watch our riders from atop a cliffside. As they ride, Evelyn starts falling asleep on Rick's shoulder. He helps keep her upright. The camel starts lowing. The warden snores next to Jonathan. Jonathan cracks the warden across the chest with his riding crop, then pretends to be back asleep. The warden jolts awake. Rick looks up and sees the Magi watching them. From above, Ardeth Bey looks frustrated.
This one is strong.
Exterior desert, dawn. A cluster of camels ride towards each other.
Good morning, my friend.
Rick pulls his camel to a stop across from Beni and the slew of Americans. Beni easily has 30 men behind him, all on horses.
What the hell are we doing?
Patience, my good Baratam. Patience.
Remember our bet, O'Connell. First one to the city, 500 cash bucks.
$100, then one a year is yours if you help us win the bet.
Oh, my pleasure. Hey, O'Connell. Nice camel.
Rick smiles and looks ahead, patting the camel's head. Beni smiles.
Get ready for it.
What?
We're about to be shown the way.
Evelyn looks ahead at the empty desert as the sun rises. As the sun starts to fill the sky, a mirage almost seems to fall away from a massive city.
Will you look at that?
And you believe it.
Hamunaptra!
Here we go again.
The city comes fully into view, and Beni cracks his horse, sending it off. Rick cracks his camel, and they take off. They all ride towards the city of the dead. Beni holding a modest lead, Rick starts closing on him. Beni swings his crop at Rick, hitting him in the head. Beni hits Rick a few more times before Rick grabs the crop and pulls Beni in close.
So long, Beni.
Rick pulls Beni roughly, sending him to the ground.
That serves you right.
Beni sits up and spits sand. Rick and Evelyn ride at the front of the pack. Rick looks over at Evelyn, clearly falling for her with a goofy grin as she smiles back. Evelyn's camel starts pulling ahead of Rick's. Evelyn whoops with joy.
Go! Go, Evie, go!
Evelyn's camel trots through the entrance to the city, winning the bet. Exterior Hamunaptra, later. Camp has been made within the city walls. A line of men are moving stones out of a blocked hallway. Across the city, Evelyn adjusts a small metal mirror as Rick ties a line, hitting the Warden with the rope. Rick swings the rope over again, nearly hitting the Warden a second time. Third time, missed again. The Wardens watch from afar, or the Americans watch from afar.
Well, shit. Do they know something we don't?
Dr. Chamberlain turns, squinting under his umbrella.
It's led by a woman. She's so much smarter than us.
Oh, that's the statue of Anubis.
Evelyn points out the statue as Rick and Jonathan dig.
Its legs go deep underground. According to Bembridge scholars, that's where we'll find a secret compartment containing the Golden Book of Amun-Ra. Jonathan, you're meant to catch the sun with that?
Jonathan nods and keeps wiping off another metal mirror.
So, what are all these old mirrors for?
Ancient mirrors. It's an ancient Egyptian trick. You'll see.
Rick nods, nervous. He pulls out a small leather roll from behind his back.
Here, this is
Evelyn
for you.
looks shocked at the item in his hands.
Well, go ahead. Something I borrowed off of our American brethren. Thought you might like it. Might need it for when you're,
Rick steps back and notices the Warden eyeing him.
Yeah. What are you looking at?
Evelyn opens the roll to see a small archaeological kit with brushes and chisels. Evelyn smiles.
Hey, look for bugs. I hate bugs.
Oh, God.
Rick nods and with a tug of the rope jumps into the crypt. Interior Hamunaptra, pyramid preparation chamber. Later. They stand in the darkness, lit only by torches.
Do you realize we're standing inside a room no one has entered in over 3,000 years?
Jonathan finishes descending the rope.
Woo! What is that god-awful stench?
He sniffs at the Warden, who's coming down after him.
Oh.
Evelyn walks over to a cobweb-covered mirror and brushes it off. She turns the mirror towards the beam of light reflected down from the other mirrors.
And then there was light.
The sunlight catches other mirrors in the room, and the tomb illuminates.
Hey, that's a neat trick.
Oh my God. It's a sunny chair?
What?
Your guess is as good as mine. A preparation room
Well, preparation for what?
for entering the afterlife.
Mummies, my good son. This is where they made their mummies.
Jonathan uses Rick's torch to light his own. Interior Tomb of the Dead halls. Later. They walk through, unsure of what lies ahead. The sound of skittering can be heard above them.
What the?
The skittering sounds loud and close.
What was that?
Sounds like bugs.
He said bugs.
What do you mean bugs? I hate bugs.
Interior Tomb of the Dead leg chamber. Moments later. They enter a dark chamber, ebony legs coming through the ceiling.
The legs of Anubis. The secret compartment should be hidden somewhere inside here.
A whisper rips through the air. Voices mutter, and Rick hands his torch to Evelyn. He cocks his gun and draws the other. Rick bolts around the corner and comes face to face with tons of American guns.
You scared the bejesus out of us, O'Connell. Shoot. Sorry.
Likewise.
Everyone uncocks their guns.
Hey, my toolkit.
No, I don't think so.
The guns come back up.
Okay, perhaps I was mistaken.
The guns go down again.
Have a nice day, gentlemen. We have a lot of work to be getting along with.
Piss off. This is our gravesite.
We got here first.
Guns!
This is our statue, friend.
I don't see your name written on it, pal.
I guess, well, there's only 4 of you.
Evelyn looks at the ground, at a small crack.
And 15 of me. Your odds are not so great, O'Connell.
I've had worse.
Yeah, me too.
Rick looks at Jonathan, who doubles takes back at Rick.
Oh, look, for goodness sake, let's be nice, children.
Evelyn walks through them, lowering their weapons.
If we're going to play together, we must learn to share.
Evelyn shares a look with Rick.
There are other places to dig.
Evelyn rests a hand on his arm, and Rick takes the hint. Interior Tomb of the Dead below leg chamber. Later. Rick and Jonathan hit at the ceiling with pickaxes. Well, Rick hits, Jonathan stands.
According to these hieroglyphics, we're underneath the statue. We should come up right between his legs.
When those damn Yanks go to sleep, no offense,
None taken.
we'll dig our way up and steal that book right out from under them.
Jonathan hands Rick a different pick.
Are you sure we can find this secret compartment?
Oh, yes. If those beastly Americans haven't beaten us to it, no offense.
None taken.
Where's our smelly little friend get to?
Interior Tomb of the Dead halls. The warden crawls along nervously, looking for treasure. He reaches a wall with a large hieroglyph of a man swarmed with scarabs. The scarabs seem to be made of jade.
What have we here?
He digs his torch into the sand and draws his knife. He pokes one of the scarab shells. He uses his knife to pluck it from the wall.
Well, this will fetch a mighty fine price.
He looks at it lovingly before dropping it into his bag. The warden looks at the figure on the wall and poses like him, singing out with joy.
Oh shit. Well, where am I? Well, let's go get us some treasure.
Interior Tomb of the Dead leg chamber, same time. Henderson jams a large pry bar into the stone crypt.
Careful.
Chamberlain grabs the bar and holds Henderson back.
Said he was no fool. I think perhaps we should let the diggers open it.
I think we should listen to the good doctor, Henderson. Yeah, sure. Let him open it.
Chamberlain looks to the diggers.
Eta.
The diggers wedge their bars into the crypt, trying to wedge out a compartment.
Eta.
They dig harder.
Zienda.
The men keep digging.
Zienda.
The compartment erupts in a plume of gas into the face of the diggers. They stumble back from the crypt, their skin melting away. Interior Tomb of the Dead below leg chamber. Jonathan tees up a stone, hitting it like a golf ball.
So let me get this straight. They ripped out your guts and stuffed them into jars.
They take out your herd as well. Oh! And you know how they would take out your brains?
I don't think we need to know this.
they take like a sharp, red hot poker, they stick it up your nose, scramble things about a bit, and then rip it all out through your nostrils.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
It's called mummification. You'll be dead when they do this.
Tell that to Imhotep.
For the record, if I don't make it out of here, don't put me down for mummification.
Likewise.
Jonathan takes a swing and a massive stone sarcophagus falls from the ceiling. Evelyn coughs.
Oh, oh my God! It's a sarcophagus.
They look up at the hole left in the ceiling.
Buried at the base of Anubis. He must have been someone of great importance, or he did something very naughty.
Interior, Tomb of the Dead halls, same time. The warden plucks another scarab shell off of the wall.
Hello.
He tries to slip it into his bag, but misses. The shell hits the sand and starts to move. The warden doesn't notice.
One more.
The shell cracks open. The warden pops off another.
One more.
The shell on the ground fully breaks open and out scurries a live scarab. It skitters across the floor and digs through the warden's boot. He looks down, feeling something in his boot. The warden screams. He starts grabbing at his pant leg, as if he's trying to stop something from crawling up his leg.
Help me.
He tears open his shirt and sees a mound of flesh moving across his stomach. He sweats at his skin, but the scarab is burrowed beneath it. It climbs up towards his heart, and he slaps his hand over it. The mound continues up his neck and onto his face, burrowing deeper into his cheek. Interior, Tomb of the Dead below leg chamber, same time. Rick and Evelyn brush sand off of the sarcophagus.
Well, who is this?
He that shall not be named.
Voldemort. Rick blows sand out of the small 8-pointed opening.
Looks like some sort of lock.
Well, whoever's in here sure's not getting out.
Yeah, no kidding. It'd take us a month to crack this thing without a key.
A key. A key! A key! That's what he was talking about!
Evelyn roots around in her bag.
Who?
The man on the barge, the one with the hook. He was looking for the key.
She rises with the box and clicks it open.
Hey, that's mine!
She gives him a look and slots the box neatly into the opening. She looks up, very proud of herself. The warden's screams echo through the halls. Rick draws his gun. As they run to investigate, Jonathan grabs the box. Interior, Tomb of the Dead halls. The warden runs into the hall, grabbing at his head, screaming wildly. He pushes part the trio and sprints down the hall. He collides with the wall head first and drops to the ground, dead. Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan look on in disbelief. Exterior Hamunaptra camp later that night. They sit around a small fire.
What do you think killed him?
Did you ever see him eat?
Seems like our American friends had a little misfortune of their own today. 3 of their diggers were melted.
What?
How?
Salt acid. Pressurized salt acid. Some kind of ancient booby trap. Oh.
Maybe this place is really cursed.
The wind howls, nearly blowing out their fire.
Oh, for goodness sake, you two.
Well, you don't believe in curses?
No, I don't. I believe if I can see it and I can touch it, then it's real. That's what I believe.
Call it being prepared.
Rick cocks his shotgun.
Let's see what our friend the warden believed in.
Jonathan starts going through his bag. He roots in the bag for a moment before quickly drawing his hand out.
Ow!
What?
My God, what is it?
Jonathan reaches back in the bag.
A broken bottle.
He pulls out the bottle.
Glenlivet, 12 years old. Well, he may have been a stinky fellow, but he sure had good taste.
Jonathan waterfalls out of the broken bottle. In the distance, a horse whinnies. Rick looks nervous. He hands the shotgun to Evelyn.
Here, take this. Stay here.
No, wait for me. Wait.
She runs after Rick.
Evie, excuse me, but didn't the man just say stay here? Evie!
Moments later, the Magi burst through the walls of the city, hooting and shooting. The Magi burn the tents, killing men left and right. Rick fires off a few shots, knocking a couple Magi from their horses. Evelyn runs up with a shotgun. A horse charges from behind, and she turns. With a scream, she fires. Jonathan sips from the Glenlivet and fires off a few rounds. Beni runs up next to him and takes a swig from the bottle. Beni hears a Magi charging and spits his gulp into Jonathan's face. Beni takes off with Jonathan behind him.
Oh, Connell!
Rick jumps off his perch and tackles the charging Magi off of his horse. Ardeth Bey rises, sword drawn. Rick shoots the blade from his grip. Rick kills another Magi as Ardeth draws a second sword, knocking Rick's gun to the ground. Rick ducks out of the way and rolls back towards one of the fires. He quickly pulls a stick of TNT from his belt and lights the fuse, rising with it threateningly. Ardeth knows Rick will let it explode.
Enough.
The Magi stop their attack.
We will shed no more blood, but you must leave. Leave this place or die. You have 1 day.
Ardeth jumps on a passing horse and shouts to the Magi, who retreat. Rick pulls the fuse from the TNT, tossing it to the ground. Rick turns and sees Evelyn on the ground.
Evelyn.
He pulls the shotgun from her grip.
Hey.
He helps her up.
Are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine.
You sure?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
That proves it. Old Studied's fortune's got to be under this sand for them to protect it like this. Sorry, apparently this is Henderson is just fans going crazy. There's treasure down there.
No, these men are desert people. They value water, not gold.
Burns walks up, face still half caked with shaving cream.
You know, maybe just at night we could combine forces, huh?
Exterior Hamunaptra camp later. Jonathan sleeps by the fire, nuzzling the bottle of scotch. By the fireside, Rick teaches Evelyn to fight.
All right, tough stuff. Try a right hook. Ball up your fist and put it right up like that.
Evelyn drunkenly bounces.
I mean, right here.
All right. Right, and I don't know where it went. Oh my God. Cool. Okay. Mean it.
She throws a drunken punch and damn near collapses into Rick's arms.
Okay.
She giggles drunkenly.
Okay, time for another drink.
She plops down into the sand.
Unlike my brother, sir, I know when to say no.
She snatches the bottle from Jonathan's sleeping hands.
Uh-huh. Unlike your brother, miss, I just don't get.
She gulps down another nip of scotch.
I know. You're wondering, what is a place like me doing in a girl like this?
She puts the bottle down and Jonathan snuggles it.
Yeah, something like that.
Egypt is in my blood. You see, my father was a very, very famous explorer.
She pulls up a small locket and shows Rick the picture inside.
And he loved Egypt so much. He married my mother, who was an Egyptian, and was quite an adventurer herself.
Yeah, I get your father, and I get your mother, and
Rick closes the locket and Evelyn drunkenly moves in.
I get him, but what are you doing here?
She scoffs.
Look, I may not be an explorer.
She stands, too quick, head rush, but doesn't let that stop her. She's gesturing wildly, nearly connecting with Rick's face.
Or an adventurer, or a treasure seeker, or a gunfighter, Mr. O'Connell. But I am proud of what I am.
And what's that?
I am a librarian.
Rick smiles, and she falls back to her knees in front of him.
And I'm gonna kiss you, Mr. O'Connell.
Call me Rick.
She smiles and drunkenly leans in.
What was that, Evelyn?
I totally whispered Rick.
Rick closes
It's
his
okay.
eyes. She moves in. But Evelyn passes out, face first, into Rick's lap. Rick just shakes his head and kisses the air. Interior, Tomb of the Dead, leg chamber, the next morning. 2 diggers remove a stone box from the crypt. They gently set it at the feet of the Chamberlain. Daniels, Burns, and Henderson all crouch around him and the box. The diggers retreat off to the side. Burns moves to open it, but is stopped by Chamberlain.
There is a curse upon this chest.
Curse my ass.
Yeah, who cares?
Have a care, Mr. Henderson. In these hollow grounds, that which was set forth in ancient times is as strong as it was then.
We understand. What does it say?
Chamberlain reads off of the chest in ancient Egyptian.
Death will come on swift wings to whomsoever opens this chest.
An ominous wind blows through and flickers the torches. The wind rises and the diggers all scatter.
We should not be here. This is not good.
It says, there is one, the undead, who if brought back to life, is bound by sacred law to consummate this curse.
Let's make sure we don't bring anyone back from the dead then, huh?
Oh boy. He still kill all who open this chest and assimilate their organs and fluids, and in so doing, he will regenerate and no longer be undead, but a plague upon this earth.
I'm going to be real with you. There did not look like anywhere near enough hieroglyphics on this chest to say that. But, okay.
Well, we didn't come all this way for nothing.
That's right.
Beni backs away in fear.
It's the curse. It's the curse.
They look up at Beni.
It's the curse. Beware the curse.
And with that, Beni runs away in fear. Like that. Burns turns his attention back to the chest.
Sorry, I had to get myself back together. Stupid, superstitious bastard!
Henderson helps him lift the lid, and a plume of dust rises as the lid does. Interior, Tomb of the Dead, below leg chamber. Same time. Rick and Jonathan lower a sarcophagus against the wall.
Oh, I've dreamt about this since I was a little girl.
You dream about dead guys?
Look, the sacred spells have been chiseled off.
Jonathan opens the puzzle box.
It must have been condemned not only in this life, but in the next.
Yeah, tough break.
Jonathan slots the key into place and starts turning it.
Yeah, I'm all tears. Now let's see who's inside, shall we?
The lock clicks open and air starts to hiss into the sarcophagus. Rick and Jonathan strain to pull it open. With a hard pull, the lid falls away and a meaty corpse drops out to say, hello.
Oh my God! I hate it when those do those things like that.
Is he supposed to look like that?
No, I've never seen a mummy look like that before. He's still
Juicy?
Juicy.
Yes. He must have been more than 3,000 years old, and well, it looks as if he's still decomposing.
Rick notices something on the inside of the lid.
Hey, look at that.
The lid is full of scratch marks.
What do you make of these?
My God. These marks were made with
She traces them with her nails.
fingernails. This man was buried alive, and he left a message.
She reads from the inside of the lid.
Death is only the beginning.
They all look up to the meaty corpse, which now takes on a whole new feeling. Interior Tomb of the Dead leg chamber. Same time. The men stand over the open chest. Chamberlain bends down and throws open a few rags to reveal a black book.
Oh my God. It does exist. The Book of the Dead.
A book? Who cares about a book? Where the hell's the treasure?
This, gentleman. This is treasure.
Oh, I wouldn't trade you for a brass fucking whatever.
Henderson kicks the chest and a sigh drops off, revealing the canopic jars. One of them sits shattered.
Well, look at that.
There's your treasure, gentlemen.
Now we're on to something.
Exterior Hamunaptra camp that night. Crickets chirp peacefully as Evelyn moves through the camp. She looks through a cluster of something in her hand. As she passes Chamberlain's tent, she hears him grunting and turns at the noise. Chamberlain sits, trying to pry the book open, to no avail. His monocle pops off as he catches her watching.
I believe you need a key to open that book.
She leaves him to struggle. Rick sits around one of the many campfires, with Beni at his side.
Say, O'Connell, what do you think these babies will fetch back at home?
Henderson shows off one of his canopic jars.
Hey, I get to talk to myself. We hear you boys found yourselves a nice gooey mummy. I have gummy bears over here. So these are my gooey mummies. Congratulations. Loudest.
You know,
fucking
if
best.
you dry that fellow out, you might be able to sell him for firewood.
Rick chuckles along, condescendingly. Evelyn sits next to Rick.
I found.
Rick looks at Beni.
You're in her seat. Now.
Yep.
Beni rises and leaves as Evelyn sits where he was.
Scarab skeletons, flesh eaters. I found them inside our friend's coffin. They can stay alive for years, feasting on the flesh of the corpse. Unfortunately for our friend, he was still alive when they started eating him.
Somebody threw these things with our guy and then they slowly ate him alive?
Very slowly.
He certainly wasn't a popular fellow when they plated him, was he?
Well, probably a little too frisky with the Pharaoh's daughter.
Not too far off, Rick.
Well, according to my readings, our friend suffered from the Homdai, the worst of all ancient Egyptian curses, one reserved only for the most evil of the blasphemers. In my research, I've never heard of this curse having actually been performed.
That bad, huh?
Yes, well, they've never used it because they feared it so. It's written that if a victim of the Homdai should ever arise, he would bring with him the 10 plagues of Egypt.
Exterior Hamunaptra camp, later that night. Chamberlain sleeps with the book clutched to his chest. Evelyn crouches at his side and tries slowly to slide it from his grip, with easy success. Evelyn retreats to their fire and sets the book down next to a sleeping Rick. She runs off.
That's called stealing, you know.
According to you and my brother, it's called borrowing.
Evelyn digs around and pulls the key from Jonathan's pocket. She fiddles with the key as Rick sits up.
I thought the Book of Amun-Ra was made of gold.
It is made of gold. This isn't the Book of Amun-Ra. this is something else. I think this might be the Book of the Dead.
The key clicks open.
Look at the dead. Sure you won't be playing around with this thing?
It's just a book. No harm can ever come from reading a book.
Sure. She turns the key in the book's lock, and they spring open. As she opens the first cover, the wind gusts, flickering the fire.
That happens a lot around here.
Evelyn reads intently.
So what's it say?
Amen Ra, Amen Die. It speaks of the night and of the day. So we of to summon Yai, Beye, Imhotep, Supe, Sitsu, Eyatu, Yatue, Yatue.
Interior, Tomb of the Dead, below leg chamber, same time. The corpse of Imhotep breathes again. Exterior, Hamunaptra camp, same time. Chamberlain rises at the sound of the scream.
No! You must not read from the book!
The camel's grunt and a rustling can be heard on the wind. Jonathan wakes up groggily. Beni awakens, angry and gun drawn. The Americans wake up and look off to the horizon. From just beyond the border of the city, a dark wave seems to be approaching. The wave breaks upwards, revealing itself as a massive swarm of bugs.
Run!
They make a break for it.
Run for it!
Some of the diggers are swept up in the wave of locusts. Chamberlain stands, covered in the flying bugs.
What have we done?
Interior, Tomb of the Dead halls. The Americans run in panic.
Where the hell did they come from? I ain't waiting around to find out.
They hit a step down and Burns stumbles, his glasses falling off.
I forgot I had glasses as Burns. My glasses!
Oh, no.
My glasses!
Other Americans run past this Velma motherfucker on the floor. Beni comes around a corner, trying to throw his jacket off.
Ah, leave me! Leave me!
Hey, could you help me find my glass?
Crunch. Benny's foot comes down on the glasses.
Oh.
Beni picks up a torch and barely looks back.
Wait for me!
Burns picks up the broken glasses and squints, trying to see. Burns reaches out in front of him and struggles to feel his way along. The wind whistles behind him.
They were designer. Damn it. Shit, I'm sorry. Who's there?
He draws his gun and aims it behind him.
Who's there?
A shadowy figure steps up behind him, down the passageway. Burns turns quickly, aiming and a blur, at least to his eyes. He moves towards the sound, only for another shape to move behind him. He turns again, seeing a blurred shape in the distance.
Daniels?
Something growls, and he turns. When he turns back, the figure is gone. Burns suddenly feels something breathing at the back of his neck. Fear grips him. He turns and screams.
Ah!
Interior Tomb of the Dead halls later. Rick comes around the corner with a torch. Evelyn and Jonathan is at his side. The passage rumbles, and a small mound of sand starts to lift out of the floor. They back up in anticipation. The mound erupts in a swarm of scarabs.
Scarabs!
Run, Evie, go, run!
The scarabs surge down the hall. Rick turns and throws his torch at them before firing off a few rounds, barely making a dent. The trio run up a ramp. At a small intersection, Jonathan and Rick go left, Evelyn goes right. Jonathan and Rick jump to a separate platform, while Evelyn finds one on the other side. Evelyn watches the swarm pass, leans against a wall, and falls through a trap door. The swarm passes. Rick and Jonathan look for Evelyn.
Evelyn?
Evie!
Evelyn!
Evie!
Interior Tomb of the Dead secret passage. The stone door slides closed behind her, and Evelyn is alone. Or so she thinks. She hears a moan behind her. She turns and sees Burns.
Oh, Mr. Burns, thank goodness. I was just starting to get scared. I lost everyone.
He turns at her voice, his eyes missing from his head. They've been scooped right out.
My eyes. My eyes.
Evelyn backs away and turns to run, coming face to face with the decomposed Imhotep. Evelyn screams. Burns drops to his knees and Evelyn backs away from this risen mummy. Evelyn's back meets a wall as Imhotep draws closer, eyeing her. Evelyn looks to Burns, pleading.
Please help me.
Imhotep turns and looks at the fallen Burns.
My tongue. He took my tongue.
Burns crawls away.
Please don't leave me.
Imhotep looks back to her with a growl.
Anck-Su-Namun.
Interior Tomb of the Dead halls, same time. Rick and Jonathan try to find the passageway Evelyn fell through.
Damn it. It's a trapdoor. There's got to be a switch or something around here someplace.
From back up the ramp, Henderson screams.
Run, you son of bitches! Run!
Go!
They jump back over onto the main path and run for it. A digger isn't so lucky and falls. He screams at the swarm of scarabs wash over him, picking his bones grody in seconds.
Go! Go!
Interior Tomb of the Dead secret passage, same. Imhotep advances on Evelyn.
Come with me, my princess, Anck-Su-Namun.
Rick runs past the hall and comes back to Evelyn.
Evelyn! There you are. Will you quit playing hide and seek? Come on, we gotta get out of here.
Rick turns and notices Imhotep.
Whoa!
Avie!
Imhotep turns at Jonathan's voice. Jonathan runs in and stops in his tracks, dropping his torch. Imhotep turns his attention back to Rick and Evelyn. Imhotep roars. Like that. Rick thinks a moment and roars back. Like that. With a quick blast, he fires his shotgun into Imhotep's gut.
Move!
Yeah, right.
Did you see that? It was walking! It was walking!
Imhotep rises. Exterior Tomb of the Dead, moments later. Rick, Evelyn, Jonathan, Henderson, and Daniels run from the tomb, but stop as guns are trained on them. Ardeth Bey and the Magi stand at the ready, Chamberlain on his knees in front of them. Ardeth removes his mask and steps forward.
I told you to leave or die. You refused. Now you may have killed us all, for you have unleashed a creature we have feared for more than 3,000 years.
Relax, I got him.
No more the weapon can kill this creature. He's not of this world.
The Magi toss Burns to their feet.
You bastards!
What'd you do to him?
We saved him. Saved him before the creature could finish his work. Leave, all of you, quickly, before he finishes you all.
With a quick order, the Magi leave.
Now we must go on the hunt and try and find a way to kill him.
I already told you, I got him.
Know this. This creature is the bringer of death. He will never eat. He will never sleep. He will never stop.
Interior Tomb of the Dead leg chamber, same time. Beni walks through the halls, hopelessly lost. He turns, fearful at every sound. Beni backs away fearfully, before nearly colliding with Imhotep. Beni screams and drops the torch. Imhotep growls. Beni reaches into his shirt and pulls out a crucifix.
May the Lord protect me and watch over me as the shepherd watches over his flock!
Imhotep keeps moving forward. Beni pulls out a whole cluster of religious icons. Fumbles, trying to find the proper one. Beni finds an Arabic symbol and holds it up, reciting a quick prayer. Nothing.
No? Okay.
He holds up another relic, a miniature Buddha, recites the prayer. Still nothing. Beni runs out of the room to back up. Imhotep reaches for him. Beni holds up a Star of David. He speaks a prayer and Hebrew.
The language of the slaves. I may have use for you. And the woods.
Imhotep reaches behind him and pulls out a small handful of gold treasures.
Will be great.
Where was he keeping those? Because I don't think the dude has pockets.
My prince.
Beni looks up to Imhotep with a smile.
Where are the other sacred jars?
Imhotep angrily shakes the broken jar in front of Beni. Exterior Hamunaptra camp later. They all ride out of the city and into the night. As they leave the city, Imhotep's hand bursts from the sand. Exterior Cairo later. Camels ride into the city. On screen, Fort Bryden, Cairo. A storm brews over the city. Interior Cairo Hotel later. Rick is packing Evelyn.
You said you didn't believe in all that fairy tales and hokum stuff.
Rick reaches the bag, and he sees a white cat perched on top.
Shoot.
Evelyn lifts the cat off the suitcase, and Rick flips open the lid.
I mean, having an encounter with a 3,000-year-old walking, talking corpse does tend to convert one.
She pulls the clothes Rick just put in out, as Rick grabs another bustle of clothes out of a drawer.
Forget it. We are out the door, down the hall,
He tosses
and
them
we're
into
gone.
her bag.
Oh, no, we are not.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
we
no,
are.
we are not. We woke him up and we are going to stop him.
Rick tosses a small stack of books into the bag.
We? What we? We didn't read that book. I told you not to play around with that thing. Didn't I tell you not to play around with that thing?
Yes. Right then. Me. I woke him up and I intend to stop him.
Rick dumps another stack of books into the bag. Evelyn is unpacking just as fast as Rick can pack.
Yeah? How? You heard the man. No more weapons can kill this guy.
Rick turns and picks up her typewriter.
Then we are just going to have to find some immortal ones.
She grabs the typewriter from his grip.
There goes that we again.
Rick stands, hands resting on the suitcase.
Look, will you listen to me? We have to do something.
She flips the lid closed, slamming them onto Rick's fingers.
Once this creature has been reborn, his curse is going to spread until the whole of the earth is destroyed.
Yeah? Is that my problem?
Well, it is everybody's problem.
Evelyn, I appreciate you saving my life and all, but when I signed on, I agreed to take you out there and bring you back. And I have done that. End of job, end of story, contract terminated.
That's all I am to you? A contract?
Look, you either tag along with me or you can stay here and try to save the world. What's it going to be?
I'm staying.
Fine.
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 Rick leaves the room.
Fine.
Evelyn stews. Interior Cairo Hotel bar, minutes later. A dancer leads Captain Winston Havelock away from the bar. He's clearly drunk.
I'm the last of the Royal Air Corps still stationed out here, you know.
He steps in the fountain, but doesn't break stride.
Oh, some bloody idiot spilled his drink.
He continues walking, barely missing a step.
All the other lollies died in the sky and were buried in the sand. Good chaps, every one of them too.
And that's what we call foreshadowing. Rick bumps into Winston.
Hey, Winston.
Yeah.
Rick continues on, leaving Winston to stand there drunkenly for a moment.
You know, O'Connell, ever since the end of the Great War, there hasn't been a single challenge worthy of a man like me.
Winston follows behind Rick, walking once again through the fountain in the floor. Rick walks up behind Jonathan, who sits at the bar and flicks his ear. Rick points back to Winston. Can you believe this guy?
Yeah, well, we all got our little problems today, don't we, Winston?
Just you wish I could have chunked it in with the others and gone down in flame and glory.
Jonathan starts pouring shots.
Instead of sitting here out here rotten of boredom and booze.
Rick mouths along with him. Clearly, he's heard this spiel all before. Before Jonathan can drink his shot, Winston takes it from his hand.
Cheers.
Winston downs it.
Oh, well, back to the airfield.
He pats them vigorously on the back and leaves.
Tell me, has your sister always been,
Oh, yes. Always.
Henderson and Daniels approach the bar.
Well, we're all packed up, but the damn boat don't leave till tomorrow morning.
Tail set firmly between your legs, I see.
Jonathan takes a shot.
You can talk. You don't have a sacred corpse after you.
how's your friend?
He had his eyes and his tongue ripped out. How would you be?
Interior Cairo hotel room, same time. Burns sits, his eyes bandaged.
Well, it's so pleased to be here.
He reaches out to shake the hand of his host, but Beni grabs his wrist.
Prince Imhotep does not like to be touched.
First red flag on the play.
A silly Eastern superstition, I'm afraid.
Across from Burns sits a black masked figure.
Please forgive me.
Burns reaches for his tea, but tips the glass. Beni crouches at his side.
Burns, Prince Imhotep thanks you for your hospitality. And for your eyes. And for your tongue.
What?
But I'm afraid more is needed.
What?
The prince must finish his job and consummate the curse, which you and your friends...
No!
Beni stands, out of the reach of Burns' grip.
...have brought down upon yourselves.
No!
Imhotep removes his mask and a few scarabs skitter away from the light and back inside Imhotep's dead flesh. Interior Cairo Hotel Bar, same time. The men cheers at the bar.
Oh, shit. Oh, crap. Oh, sweet Jesus. Wait, good luck, boys. Also, sweet Jesus. Sure.
Tasted just
They
like...
down their drinks only to spit them back up. Everyone else around the bar also spits out their drinks.
I did what I needed to do, right, y'all?
It tasted like...
blood.
Rick drops his glass and walks towards the fountain.
Your mom.
And the rivers and waters of Egypt ran red and were as blood.
They look to the fountain, which now runs red.
He's here.
Interior Cairo Hotel upper courtyard, same time. Evelyn walks through the courtyard, reading a book. Thunder rumbles overhead. 2 soldiers walk by behind her.
Oh, looks like it's gonna storm.
Rick rounds a corner.
Oh, Evelyn!
Oh, I see you're still here.
Rick chuckles.
Yeah, we got problems.
Lightning fills the sky. Rick and Evelyn look to the sky and see balls of fire falling. Pardon. The flaming debris crashes into a nearby pyramid. Rick grabs Evelyn's arm and they run. The fire crashes into the courtyard, lighting a few soldiers aflame. The fire is destroying more and more of the city. Towers collapse. Rick and Evelyn stop under an overhead hang as Beni comes down the stairs, sees Rick, and runs back upstairs. Rick catches Beni fleeing.
Hey!
Rick grabs Beni and forces him against the wall.
Beni, you little stinkweed, where you been?
Imhotep roars, and Beni runs. Rick lets him go and draws his gun. Interior Cairo Hotel later. Rick and Evelyn come through the doorway, searching for the source of the roar. What they find instead is the shriveled husk of Burns. Rick trains his gun at a sound on the other end of the room. Imhotep stands by the fire, a few old layers of his skin regrowing. His muscles grow back as Imhotep is partially restored. Evelyn gasps.
We are in serious trouble.
Imhotep starts towards them. Rick starts firing, emptying round after round into Imhotep's chest, to no avail. Jonathan bolts into the room, flanked by Henderson and Daniels. They all stop in their tracks. Imhotep reaches Rick and throws him across the room into the 3 men. He turns his attention to Evelyn.
You saved me from The undead, I thank you.
Imhotep moves in to kiss her, but a clanking of piano keys distracts him. Imhotep turns and sees a cat walking across the piano. The undead prince recoils in fear. He spins around, dissolving into a cloud of sand, which has a face. Imhotep flies from the window, slamming it shut behind him. Rick sits up.
We are in very serious trouble.
Interior Museum of Antiquities later.
He does seem to like you, Evie.
Yeah, what's that about?
They walk hurriedly through the halls of the museum.
What's this guy want?
There's only one person that can give us the answers.
They enter the main display to find the curator standing with Ardeth Bey.
You.
Rick draws his gun and aims it at Ardeth, as does Henderson and Jonathan.
Miss Carnahan, gentlemen.
What is he doing here?
Do you really want to know, or would you just prefer to shoot us?
They holster the weapons.
What just happened? I'm willing to go on a little faith here.
We are part of an ancient secret society.
I think you're breaking rule number 1 there, hombre. I mean, I would assume that's up there with get the dues up front and remember that it's not a cult.
For over 3,000 years, we have guarded the city of the dead. We have sworn that at manhood to do any and all in our power to stop the high priest Imhotep from being reborn into this world.
Now, because of you, we have failed.
And you think this justifies the killing of innocent people?
Stop this creature. Let me think.
Yes.
Yes.
Question. Why doesn't he like cats?
Cats are the guardians of the underworld. He will fear them until he is fully regenerated. Then he will fear nothing.
Know how he gets himself fully regenerated?
By killing everyone who opened that chest?
And sucking them dry. That's how.
Jonathan starts fucking with a bow that's part of the display.
Jonathan, will you stop playing with that?
And Jonathan nearly takes down the whole display.
When I saw him alive at Hamunaptra, he called me Anck-Su-Namun.
Weird. He should have called you Nefertiti. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The curator and Ardeth share a look.
And then just now, in Mr. Burns' quarters, he tried to kiss me.
It's because of his love for Anck-Su-Namun that he was cursed. Apparently, after 3,000 years.
He is still in love with her.
Aww.
Yes, that is very romantic, but what has that got to do with me?
Perhaps he will once again try to raise her from the dead.
Yes, and it appears he's already chosen his human sacrifice.
They look to Evelyn.
Bad luck, old mum.
The curator rises.
On the contrary, it may just give us the time we need to kill the creature.
Ardeth Bey's eyes fall to the skylight.
He will need all the help we can get. His powers are growing.
They all follow his gaze and see an eclipse darkening the sky.
And he stretched forth his hand toward the heaven, and there was darkness throughout the land of Egypt.
We must stop him from regenerating. Who opened the chest?
Well, there was me and Daniels here. Well, and Burns, of course.
And that Egyptologist fellow.
About my buddy Beni.
Nah, he scrammed out of here before we opened the thing.
Yeah, he was a smart one.
Yeah, that sounds like Beni.
Huh. I think we must find the Egyptologist and bring him back to the safety of the fort before the creature can get to him.
Right. She stays here. You three come with me.
Don't, not me.
No!
Just a minute. You can't leave me behind like some old carpet bag.
Evelyn starts charging towards Rick.
Who put you in charge, O'Connell?
Rick simply bends over and tosses Evelyn over his shoulder.
What do you think you're doing, Jonathan O'Connell?
Sorry, he's a bit tall.
Rick tosses Evelyn onto her bed and strolls right out of the room.
Jonathan, coward that you are, O'Connell, you are not leaving me in here.
Rick closes the doors and latches them. He slaps the key into the chest of Daniels and pulls him into the door. From the other side, Evelyn continues shouting.
Jonathan, if you don't open this door in 1 minute flat, O'Connell,
This door doesn't open.
let me out of here.
She doesn't come out, and no one goes in. Right?
O'Connell.
Right.
Jonathan.
Turns to Henderson.
Right?
Right.
Jonathan O'Connell.
Let's go, Jonathan.
Oh, I thought I could just stay at the fort and reconnoiter. Yeah, right.
Now.
Jonathan hops up and hurries out after him.
We're just gonna rescue the Egyptologist.
Exterior, Cairo Alley, moments later. Chamberlain rushes hurriedly through the streets, terrified. Wings flap overhead, and Chamberlain reaches an intersection. As he looks back, a shadowy figure lurks a long distance behind him. Chamberlain stares nervously and leaves, not noticing the hooded Imhotep suddenly right behind him. Interior, Chamberlain's quarters, later. Beni roots through the room, looting the soon-to-be-dead man's belongings. He tosses drawers aside, causing so much noise. He doesn't hear the footsteps coming up the stairs.
Well, let me guess. Spring cleaning?
Beni bolts. Rick grabs a chair and throws it across the room, connecting with Benny's legs.
Nice shot.
Rick hoists Beni to his feet.
Oh, Benny, did you fall down? Here, let me help you up.
Rick slams him into a bookshelf.
You came back from the desert with a new friend, didn't you, Benny?
What friend? You were my only friend.
Rick throws Beni into the desk.
Oh,
What you doing with this creep? What's in it for you?
it's better to be right-handed with the devil in his path. As long as I serve him, I am immune.
Rick angrily lifts Beni off of the desk and slams him into another bookcase.
Immune from what?
Beni swears in Hungarian.
What'd you say?
I don't want to tell you. You'll just hurt me some more.
What are you looking for? And try not to lie to me.
Rick lifts Beni upwards, face towards the ceiling fan.
The book, the black book that found Hamunaptra. He wasn't. He said to me it would be worth its weight in gold.
What does he want the book for?
Oh, come on, I don't know.
Rick hoists him higher.
Something about bringing his dead girlfriend back to life, but that's all. He just wants the book. I swear, just the book. I swear.
Rick lowers him.
And your sister, but other than that.
The men turn at the sound. Beni takes advantage of the distraction and knees Rick in the nuts before jumping out the window. Beni picks himself up and runs off. Rick and Jonathan reach the window and look down to the street. The crowd parts, and there stands Imhotep and the drained corpse of Chamberlain. Imhotep holds the book in his hands and lifts the canopic jar from Chamberlain's rictus grip. Imhotep turns to face the window, staring them down. He breathes deep till his jaw drops inhumanly low and spits a wave of flies at the window. Rick and Jonathan slam the shutters shut as villagers swat at the insects. Imhotep moves through the crowd, unbothered.
That's 2 down, 2 to go.
Then he'll be coming after Evie.
Interior Cairo hotel room, later. Daniel stands on edge at the window.
Guards in place. Reporting all clear, sir.
He walks away, not liking what he hears.
To hell with this. I'm going downstairs to get me a drink. You want something?
Yeah. Get me a glass of bourbon.
I
And a shot of bourbon.
Yeah, okay.
Henderson follows Daniels to the door, placing his canopic jar in the seat.
And a bourbon chaser. Daniels, tell me you're gonna get.
I'll get you a damn bourbon.
Thank you. That's very much what I needed to hear. Don't worry about the door.
Henderson closes it behind him. Henderson eyes the jar and draws his revolver, practicing his quick draw on the unmoving jar. An inhuman sound moves past the window, and he aims at it. The window sits open. Henderson thumbs back the hammer on his revolver as he steps carefully towards it. He peeks outside. Nothing. Henderson uncocks his gun, just before a burst of sand explodes through his window into his face. Henderson is thrown back before being lifted by the sand into the air. He flails to get down, but the sand drains him of his life force. The sand tosses the dried husk aside before forming itself into Imhotep, who stands nearly fully healed. A scarab crawls from the open wound on his neck and crawls up his face, burrowing back into the open flesh in Imhotep's cheek. He crunches the scarab in his teeth. A little snack. Imhotep moves to the locked door. Interior Cairo hotel room, bedroom, moments later. Evelyn sleeps peacefully. Sand slowly pours through the keyhole, forming a large pile of sand at the foot of the door. Imhotep reforms and steps to Evelyn's bedside. He sits longingly at her bedside.
Anck-Su-Namun.
He smiles and leans in to kiss her. As their lips connect, his flesh deteriorates. Evelyn wakes up and pushes him off as Rick and Jonathan kick through the door.
Hey, get your ugly face off of her!
Imhotep turns, his lips rotted and gross.
You shall die a peasant's death.
Look what I got.
Rick holds up a cat. Imhotep steps back, snarling, jaw dropping low. The cat hisses. Imhotep roars. Imhotep spins, becoming a tornado of sand and flying out the window once again. Everyone catches their breath for a moment.
You all right?
Well, I'm not sure.
Rick looks at him. Not you, stupid. Exterior Museum of Antiquities, later that night. The trio drive up in a car, Rick jumping out before the car has even stopped. He's driving. Don't do that, Rick! Interior Museum of Antiquities. The Curator and Ardeth walk up the stairs, with Rick, Evelyn, Jonathan, and Daniels behind them.
Well, according to legend, the black box, the black book the Americans found at Hamunaptra is supposed to bring the people back from the dead. Until now, it was a notion I was unwilling to believe.
Yeah, I believe it, sister. That's what brought our buddy back to life.
Yes, I'm thinking that if the black book can bring dead people to life,
Then maybe the gold book can kill him.
that's the myth. Now we just have to find out where the gold book is hidden.
Imhotep,
Imhotep.
Imhotep.
They turn at the sound before moving to the window. Exterior Museum of Antiquities, same. A mob with torches slowly moves towards the museum.
Imhotep.
Imhotep. My lantern.
Imhotep.
Their faces are covered with festers and open wounds.
Imhotep.
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 The mob converges on the museum.
Last but not least, my favorite plague, boils and souls.
They have become his slaves. So it has begun. The beginning of the end.
Not quite yet, it hasn't. Come on.
Imhotep.
As if they've been summoning him, Imhotep walks through the crowd.
Eternal glory to whoever brings me my love.
Imhotep.
Beni is being pulled along among the crowd, looking less than thrilled. The mob reaches the doors and starts trying to force them open. Interior Museum of Antiquities, same time. Evelyn and the Curator are deciphering a large stone tablet.
According to Bembridge scholars, the Golden Book of Amun-Ra is located inside of the statue of Anubis.
That's where we found the black book.
Exactly.
Looks like the old boys at Bembridge were mistaken.
Yes, they mixed the books up. Mixed up where they were buried. So, if the black book is inside the statue of Anubis, then the gold book must be inside.
The mob breaks through the door.
Come on, Evie, faster!
Patience is a virtue.
Rick looks over the railing at the mob.
Not right now, it isn't.
I think I'll go and get the car started.
Jonathan runs away.
I got it. The Golden Book of Amun-Ra is at the Hamunaptra inside the statue of Horus. Take that, Bembridge scholars.
Exterior Museum of Antiquities. Jonathan runs for the car. The mob sees him and runs out the door towards him. Jonathan turns away and thinks quickly.
Imhotep.
Imhotep. The crowd believes he's one of them and resumes shambling. Jonathan walks with them for a moment, chanting all the while.
Imhotep, Imhotep.
The crowd passes him and he ducks back towards the car. He turns on the car as his friends round the corner.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Get this in gear, boy. Let's get out of here.
Beni exits the museum and sees them.
Evie, come on, Evie, hurry up.
Imhotep! Imhotep!
Imhotep fills the window above, spreading his arms and roaring, his shadow growing behind him. Rick points at Beni from the car.
You're gonna get yours, Beni! You hear me? You're gonna get yours!
Jonathan
like I never
drives
heard
away.
that before.
The mob runs after the car. Exterior Cairo streets. Jonathan drives them through the streets, away from the mob. Jonathan slams on the brakes, another section of the mob blocking their path. Rick looks from the crowd to Jonathan, then stomps down on Jonathan's foot / the gas pedal. The car races towards the minions of Imhotep.
Hang on!
They hit minions, knocking them away. But slowly, they are overwhelming the car. Rick punches off a few of them, but it does little. Ardeth punches off another. Even the Curator shoves one off. Two of the hench dudes start pulling Daniels off the back of the car.
Hey! O'Connell! O'Connell!
Daniels falls off the back and draws his guns, firing at anyone who gets close. He uses up all his ammo, and eventually the crowd is gathered around him, simply staring. The crowd parts as Imhotep approaches him. Daniels drops his guns, too scared to scream. Imhotep smiles. Daniels tries to offer Imhotep the jar, and Imhotep roars. Beni can't quite watch the savagery of it. Elsewhere, Jonathan crashes and our heroes jump from the car.
Jump down!
The mob quickly approaches and Rick grabs a torch, using it to keep them back.
Move, move, move!
They are herded back into a corner.
Imhotep.
Imhotep.
The crowd parts once more, and Imhotep steps through, fully formed.
It's the creature. He's fully regenerated.
Come with me, my sweet. I will make you mine for all eternity.
Come with me, my princess. It's time to make you mine forever.
For all eternity, idiot.
Imhotep extends a hand.
Take my hand, and I will spare them.
Take my hand, and I will spare your friends.
Rick chuckles, seemingly not seeing how fucked they are.
Oh dear. Have you got any bright ideas?
I'm thinking.
Any at all?
I'm thinking.
You better think of something fast, because if he turns me into a mummy, you're the first one I'm coming after.
She takes Imhotep's hand. Rick draws his gun and aims it at Imhotep.
Don't.
No!
He still has to take me to Hamunaptra to perform the ritual.
She's right. Live today, fight tomorrow.
Rick holsters and shares a look with Evelyn. He nods and gestures with the torch to Imhotep.
I'll be seeing you again.
Imhotep smiles, smug, and walks away.
Evelyn!
As Imhotep pulls Evelyn through the crowd, Beni walks to Jonathan and starts rummaging through his jacket.
Hey!
Beni pulls out the puzzle box.
Thank you.
Kill them all.
No! Let go of me!
The mob converges, moving in on our heroes.
Imhotep.
Goodbye, my friend.
Beni runs away before Rick can throttle him.
Imhotep.
Rick's eyes glance down, and he throws his torch into the crowd. In reality, actually hitting the camera. Nice shot, Fraser. Rick grabs a manhole cover and lifts it aside.
Come on!
What about my sister?
We're gonna get her back!
Rick tosses Jonathan into the sewer. The Curator steps up and draws a sword.
You're next!
Rick grabs Ardeth and tosses him headfirst into the sewer as the Curator strikes down the minions of Imhotep.
Come on, give me your hand!
You go!
Well, come on!
Go!
Rick jumps down the sewer, leaving the Curator. He manages to kill a few of the horde, but is eventually overwhelmed and presumably torn apart. Exterior, Royal Air Force, Giza, the next day. Jonathan drives through a gate with Rick and Ardeth towards a barren airstrip. Under a distant umbrella sits Winston, who sips tea in front of a large record player. Rick leads the charge up the dune towards Winston.
Morning, Winston. A word?
What's your little problem got to do with His Majesty's Royal Air Corps?
Not a damn thing.
This gets Winston's attention.
Is it dangerous?
You probably won't live through it.
By Jove! Do you really think so?
Well, everyone else we bumped into has died. Why not you?
What's the challenge then?
Rescue the damsel in distress, kill the bad guy, save the world.
Oh, Winston, have luck at your service.
He salutes Rick. Exterior desert, later. Winston's biplane flies overhead. Winston looks right at home behind the stick, as Rick sits in the gunner seat. Rick looks out over one of the wings and whistles.
You all right?
He gives Jonathan a thumbs up.
Do I bloody look all right?
Rick looks to the other wing and whistles for Ardeth's attention. He's not okay.
How you doing?
In the distance, a sand tornado tears across the desert. Winston notices the twister.
See that? I never seen one so big.
Never?
No.
The plane races towards Hamunaptra. The twister throws Evelyn and Beni into the sand.
Get off of me! Get off!
I need a new job.
The tornado comes together back into Imhotep, who walks past them. Evelyn follows his path, seeing what lies ahead.
Oh my god. We're back.
Imhotep looks up and sees the plane.
O'Connell.
Evelyn smiles, but Imhotep looks less than pleased. Imhotep roars, and the desert floor in front of him cracks open, unleashing a massive wall of sand. This wave glides towards the plane.
Oh my God. Hey, Winston! Pedal faster!
Winston looks in his rear view and sees the sand wave approaching.
Hang on, men!
The plane dives. The plane swerves around a hillside before it's engulfed in sand. Rick watches the wave as a face forms in it, the face of a smiling Imhotep. Rick cocks the rear gun and starts firing into the face, to no avail. Imhotep opens his mouth and the sand follows. Rick puts on his goggles and preps for impact. The sand wave engulfs the plane.
Stop it! You'll kill him!
That's the idea!
Evelyn pushes Beni aside and runs to Imhotep, who's deep in his spell. The plane is being whipped around by the sandstorm.
Here I come, ladies!
Evelyn grabs Imhotep and kisses him, distracting him long enough for the storm to dissipate. She pulls away from the kiss, happy that the plane is still flying. But barely. The engine sputters and the plane crashes with a small explosion. Imhotep walks towards Hamunaptra.
I love the whole sandwall trick. It was beautiful. Bastard.
The plane sits partially buried in the sand. Rick tosses his bag from the seat. Ardeth rises and unsteadily pulls his helmet and goggles off. Rick falls to the sand. Jonathan is still strapped to the wing.
Excuse me, a little help would be useful if it's not too much trouble.
Rick comes around to the front of the wing.
Yeah, all right.
Ardeth pulls the tail gun off of the plane as Rick helps Jonathan to his feet.
Winston! Hey, Winston!
Winston isn't moving, but he looks at peace. Rick checks his pulse and finds nothing. The sand belches and the plane starts sinking, taking Winston with it.
Quicksand! Get back! It's quicksand!
Did you all know that quicksand, like it exists in the movies, is impossible? You are actually more buoyant in quicksand than you are in water. The more you know. Anyway, they run back, watching the totally real quicksand suck down the plane. Rick salutes his fallen friend, and they turn towards Hamunaptra. Interior Tomb of the Dead, later. Imhotep moves through the halls, Evelyn behind him. Beni comes up behind her and shoves her forward.
Keep moving!
Nasty little fellow, such as yourself, always gets their comeuppance.
Really? They do?
Oh, yes. Always.
She leaves Beni behind, who's now jumping at every skittering sound. Interior Tomb of the Dead, chamber, same time. Rick and Ardeth are pulling stones away from a small opening.
I'd take the bigger stones first. Take them from the top, otherwise the whole thing will cave in on us. Come on, put your backs into it.
Rick and Ardeth are annoyed and glare at him.
Yes, well, you've got the idea. Chop chop.
Jonathan turns his attention to the wall and sees a few of the scarab shells.
I say.
He pulls it off the walls and holds it in his palm.
Gents, you should come have a look at this.
The shell cracks open and out comes a scarab. The scarab burrows into Jonathan's palm.
Ah!
The scarab crawls up Jonathan's arm under the skin.
What?
It's my arm!
They pull back his shirt and see the mound on his shoulder.
Whoa!
Do something!
Hold it!
Do something!
Rick flips open a butterfly knife.
Not that!
Rick digs the blade into Jonathan's skin. Jonathan screams as Rick does his best. With a flick, the scarab is launched from Jonathan. It lands on the floor and runs back towards Jonathan. Rick draws his gun and kills it with a single shot. Interior, Tomb of the Dead, ceremonial chamber, same. Imhotep, Beni, and Evelyn all look up at the sound.
O'Connell!
Imhotep pours a handful of his own remains into his hand and blows them against a stone wall.
Rise to do my bidding.
Mummies burst from the walls, having been buried behind the hieroglyphics.
Cambridge scholars never wrote about this.
Imhotep smirks as the newly risen minions bow to him. Beni holds Evelyn back.
Get off me! Get off!
Imhotep bows back.
Kill them and wake the others.
They shamble off. Interior, Tomb of the Dead, treasure chamber, moments later. Rick tosses his lantern out onto the ground, followed by his bag. Rick drops down and eyes a mirror in the distance. He holsters his shotgun and draws his gun, firing off a shot towards the mirror. It spins and catches the light, illuminating the room. The room is filled with gold.
What?
Rick slowly starts down the stairs into the main chamber.
Can you see?
Yep.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Can we just...
No.
They turn at a sound, and a hand bursts from the sand. A mummy minion crawls from the sand, followed by another and another.
Who the hell are these guys?
Please. Imhotep's please.
All right, then.
Rick and Ardeth open fire. Jonathan fires off a few shots from his guns. When he runs out, he pulls the guns from Rick's holsters and continues firing. They are slowly being pushed back by the wave of mummy priests. Jonathan straight up throws one of Rick's guns, hitting a mummy in the head. As they retreat, Beni runs in. He watches them go, then stands in awe of the room and treasures within. Interior, Tomb of the Dead, ceremonial chamber, moments later. Evelyn awakens, tied down to a stone table. She tries her restraints before noticing a rat crawling across her stomach. She tosses it off, coming face to face with the corpse of Anck-Su-Namun. Interior, Tomb of the Dead, halls, same time. Rick and Ardeth fire away, the bullets barely making a dent in the mummies, although Ardeth does explode one's head. Interior, Tomb of the Dead, chamber of Horus, continuous. Jonathan enters the chamber and holds his torch high.
There he is!
Jonathan runs in and lights the main torch, next to a large ebony statue of a man with the head of a falcon.
Hello, Horus, old boy.
Rick fires off his last 3 shots and hands the now empty gun to Ardeth. Rick pulls out a stick of dynamite and lights the match on Ardeth's cheek. He lights the stick.
Close the door.
He throws it and they duck behind the statue. The stick explodes, blowing the mummies to pieces. Exterior, Tomb of the Dead, same time. Beni drags out bags of treasure. He runs up to a camel, who is not happy to see him. The camel digs in its heels and refuses to move.
Stupid camel!
Interior Tomb of the Dead ceremonial chamber, moments later. Several mummy priests gather around Evelyn and Anck-Su-Namun. They drop to their knees and bow. Imhotep walks to the dais with the black book. He rubs his hand lovingly across the forehead of Anck-Su-Namun.
Anck-Su-Namun.
He unlocks the book and slips the key into his robes.
O'Connell? Jonathan?
Interior Tomb of the Dead, Chamber of Horus, same time. Rick and Jonathan pull at the base of the statue as Ardeth reloads the gun. He eyes the hallway, which is already starting to refill with mummies. Why did this series never get a Resident Evil type video game? Huh.
Damn! These guys just don't know when to quit, do they?
Keep digging.
Exterior Tomb of the Dead. Beni slumps another large bag of treasures onto the back of a camel. Beni reaches into the bag and eyes the gold. His eyes drift from the gold back to the tomb. Interior Tomb of the Dead, Chamber of Horus. Jonathan and Rick pull a small box from the space under the statue. Jonathan opens it and uncovers a golden book.
Ah, the Book of Amun-Ra.
Ardeth starts firing into the hall. The gun jams.
Save the girl. Kill the creature.
Ardeth charges into the hall, swinging the shotgun like a club. Rick finds another stick of dynamite next to a hole in the floor. Ardeth fights off the undead. Rick lights a match on his cheek, a trick I have not tried, at least at the time of writing this, and lights the stick.
What are you ready for? Get out! Get out!
Rick tosses Jonathan into a hutch and tosses the stick into the hall. It explodes, wiping out a few of the priests.
You all right? Let's go!
They run past the flames. Interior Tomb of the Dead, ceremonial chamber. Imhotep reads from the black book. They look to a dark pool, and a ghostly soul drifts through the air. The soul drifts over Evelyn and into the corpse next to her. Imhotep is chanting a spell. Anck-Su-Namun turns her eyeless face towards Evelyn, who's screaming too. She turns away to see Imhotep lifting a large knife over his head.
With your death, Anck-Su-Namun shall live, and I shall be invincible.
Ooh!
The Book of Amun-Ra!
Jonathan rushes in at the top of the stairs, holding the book high.
I found it, Evie! I found it!
The Book of Amun-Ra.
Shut up and get me off here, Jonathan. Open the book, Jonathan. It's the only way to kill him.
Imhotep puts the knife on the table next to Anck-Su-Namun.
You have to open the book and find the inscription.
Well, I can't open it.
Rick pulls an ancient stone sword from a statue.
It's locked or something. We need a key, Evie.
No shit, Sherlock.
It's inside his robes.
Jonathan runs as Imhotep advances on him. Rick jumps into the middle of the ceremony, cutting Evelyn's restraints.
O'Connell!
Kill this fool.
Rick fights back the mummies, punching one that's crawling over Evelyn. He cuts a mummy to 4 pieces and makes short work of the others there, including decapitating and hitting said head like a baseball. He looks at Evelyn, impressed with himself.
Mummies.
Before he can cut her other chain, he's swept to the floor by half a mummy. It crawls up Rick, who's just out of reach of his sword. Rick is grabbed by another mummy, pinning him to the floor.
Look out! There's one there, O'Connell.
A mummy is slowly approaching with a large stone, ready to crush Rick. As Rick reaches for the sword, a severed mummy arm is crawling for it as well. The mummy lifts the tablet high. The mummy arm grabs the sword. Right as it does, Rick grabs the arm and swings the sword into the legs of the mummy holding the stone. The mummy drops to the ground, crushed under the stone. Jonathan struggles to read an inscription on the cover of the book.
Klaatu Barada Nikto.
That's the one. A door bursts open and more mummy soldiers enter, armed with shields, swords, and spears.
Oh boy!
Imhotep smiles. Clearly, this is going in his favor. The 10 mummies stand in a line and begin advancing on Rick and Evelyn.
Oh, yeah, this just keeps getting better and better.
Do something, Jonathan.
Me?
You command them.
You've got to be joking.
Finish the inscription on the cover, idiot.
Oh,
Then
right.
you can control them.
Right.
Anck-Su-Namun pops up behind Evelyn and Rick and starts trying to stab Evelyn.
Kill them all.
The soldiers bound across the pool towards Rick. Rick roars at the mummies, trying to scare them. Yep. The trio of mummies roar back. Roar. Rick hauls ass, and the mummies give chase. Evelyn runs from Anck-Su-Namun.
Hurry up, Jonathan.
Rick grabs a rope and cuts it, using a weight to lift him into the air. The weight drops and crushes one of the mummy soldiers. Rick runs into a hall. More mummy soldiers roar, and Rick runs back out, chased by those soldiers. Rick makes it down the stairs and turns back, the soldiers having vanished from sight, but they pop up behind him. Rick barely manages to block a few blows.
I can't figure out this last symbol.
What does it look like?
Anck-Su-Namun grabs Evelyn by the throat. Rick fights off the soldiers, stabbing one behind him before cutting down one in front.
It's a bird, a stork.
Rick is getting overwhelmed. He's knocked to the ground and uses a torch to set one mummy alight. Anck-Su-Namun chokes Evelyn.
None of us!
Oh, yes, I see.
Rick slashes at 3 soldiers, but 2 more pop up and kick him down the stairs. The soldiers advance, weapons raised high.
Wingardium Leviosa Omnifus!
Sure. The soldiers stop mid-slash. Blades inches from Rick's face. Imhotep turns. The soldiers withdraw their weapons and turn to Jonathan.
Destroy him! Destroy him! I command you to destroy him!
Anck-Su-Namun stabs at Evelyn, missing barely.
Kill Anck-Su-Namun!
The soldiers turn on their heels and advance on Anck-Su-Namun.
Anck-Su-Namun!
The soldiers advance.
Give me that book.
The soldiers kill the shit out of that dead mummy lady. Imhotep turns at the commotion.
Anck-Su-Namun!
For a dead girl, they sure do make her perish a lot. Imhotep turns to Jonathan.
Now you die.
He grabs Jonathan's throat and lifts him into the air. Rick swings the sword through the air and cleaves off Imhotep's arm. Imhotep throws Rick across the tomb as he picks up and reattaches his arm.
Evie, I got it!
Jonathan holds the key high. Evelyn runs to him and they pull out the key.
Keep him busy.
Rick is hit across the room and into a stone pillar.
No problem.
Evelyn unlocks the book and flips through the heavy gold pages. Imhotep strikes Rick and he is launched once again. Evelyn tries to find the correct passage.
Hurry, Evie, hurry!
Imhotep grabs Rick's throat and lifts him into the air.
You're not helping.
Rick is airborne, having the life choked out of him. He tries to give Imhotep the eye, which is hard with the oxygen rushing out of his brain.
Now it's your turn.
His mouth extends inhumanely low.
I've got it. Kadishmal. Paradu.
A whip crack is heard from the top of the stairs. Rick is legit turning blue as a ghostly chariot rides down the stairs. The horses whinny as they charge at Imhotep. As the spirits collide with him, Imhotep's soul seems to be ripped from him, going along with the horses. Imhotep chases his soul up the stairs, but alas, he cannot outrun horses. He is but a man. Speaking of, Rick stumbles back towards Evelyn and Jonathan, rolling over the sword.
Setna!
Imhotep turns his attention back to Rick.
Thought you said it was gonna kill him.
Imhotep charges at Rick. Rick bares himself and slips his sword into Imhotep's chest. Imhotep stops and looks down at his chest.
He's mortal.
Rick pulls the sword out. Imhotep grunts and steps back into the pool. The longer he's in the pool, the more he's reverting to his mummified state.
Back in the sequel.
Imhotep deteriorates and falls back into the pool.
Death is only the beginning.
That's another translation of it. Sure. Interior Tomb of the Dead halls. Later. Beni moves through the halls, overloaded with gold coins, lit only by his torch. Beni moves to the wall and drops one of the saddlebags onto a post for support. This activates a booby trap. Sand starts pouring from the ceiling as it starts to collapse.
Time to go.
The three rush through the treasure room, Jonathan clutching the golden book. He trips and the book falls into the pool. Evelyn runs back for the book.
You've lost the book! Jonathan, I can't believe!
Hurry!
Come on!
They grab her and pull her along. The ceiling is coming down after all, sealing the place. Interior Tomb of the Dead halls. Beni crouches through the halls, struggling to get out with his treasures before the ceiling crushes him. He drops the bag so he can make it through the hall. Rick and Evelyn come through the halls too, sand pouring down onto them. Interior Tomb of the Dead, treasure room, moments later. Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan burst from a hallway and run towards the main stairs. Jonathan stops in his tracks and looks at the riches around him.
Couldn't we just...
No, Jonathan.
Evelyn and Rick run back and grab him, pulling Jonathan up the stairs. Beni is a ways behind them.
O'Connell!
Jonathan makes it out safely, followed by Evelyn. Rick dives under.
O'Connell, wait!
Rick turns back for him.
Come on!
Wait, please!
Come on, Beni!
Rick has to pull his hand back, lest he be crushed.
Goodbye, Beni.
Beni is stuck on the other side. He sees the ceiling coming down and rushes back into the main treasure chamber. He comes down into the main chamber as the ceiling slots into place, locking down. Beni is sealed inside. Nowhere to run for Beni. As the ceiling comes down, it crushes the mirror, darkening the room. The only light is Beni's torch. A scarab crawls onto the head of a statue.
Go away!
He attacks it with his torch. The scarab vanishes. Beni turns and sees a wave of scarabs heading his way.
Shushma, shushma!
The room is slowly being filled with scarabs, and Beni's torch is running out. Goodbye, Beni. Exterior Hamunaptra, moments later. Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan run away from the collapsing ruins of the city. This would make a great stunt show. They race along with the camels until they reach the edge of the city limits. The city of the dead explodes into large plumes of sand and debris. The three stare at the wreckage. A beat. A wrapped hand drops onto Jonathan's shoulder. Ardeth draws his hand back.
Oh, thank you very much.
You've earned the respect and gratitude of me and my people.
Yes, well, it was nothing.
May Allah smile upon you always.
He kisses his hand and salutes. Jonathan gestures back, not sure what to do.
And yourself?
Ardeth clicks his teeth and his camel rides off.
Yes, anytime!
Stay out of trouble.
He's just leaving us here.
Jonathan turns to the remains of the city.
Well, I guess we go home empty-handed again.
I wouldn't say that.
Rick smiles at Evelyn.
Oh, please.
Rick and Evelyn kiss.
How about you, darling? Would you like a little kissy-wissy?
Jonathan talks to the camel, who belches in his face.
Woo!
Rick and Evelyn smile, looking adorable with each other. Rick and Evelyn mount one of the camels, Jonathan on the other. They usher the camels onward, unaware that their camel saddlebags are full of enough treasure to fund a franchise worth at least 2 sequels, 4 spin-offs, and an animated series. Our heroes ride off into the sunset, victorious. Fade to black.
You did not add that last bit in.
Of course
Logan.
I did. That is our reading. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you at the next one.